It is still October 3rd, 2022. Hope you are well. We are going to continue our talk on what it means to be successful. And this will be, I think, part 4. So for this one, we're going to discuss this aspect of how should we put this? In the last installment, we were talking about how each of us has weaknesses and each of us has strengths. And we all have certain things that come more easily or naturally to us. Certain skills, talents, abilities, and those are the things that if we accentuate, if we really utilize those things, that's going to be to our benefit. And we're going to enjoy this experience so much more. It won't feel like such a burden when, if we start setting goals that will encompass what we've already got plenty of in our toolkit. That's going to really make the experience enjoyable and not sap us of so much energy as we're trying to reach whatever goals. So anyway, you can refer to that last one if you want to understand what we're talking about here. But we didn't really focus too much, or we haven't focused at all really, on the weaknesses aspect. And we all have those. And weaknesses are not bad things. They're challenges. If we're walking around on this planet, we don't have just a whole list of strengths and abilities and talents and skills and stuff that we're fantastic at. We can do it all. There are going to be some things that are going to present more of a challenge for us. But it's if we want to be well-rounded, so to speak, instead of shying away from the weaknesses altogether, saying, that's not my thing, I just leave it over there. Well, this is the personal view of the speaker, but in my own experience, it's much more satisfying and less boring, if you want to say, to kind of stretch ourselves into, we don't have to dive right into things that we're not comfortable with or that we don't feel that we're really efficient at doing, but just to familiarize ourselves. Well, okay, so blah, 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 blah. What are we talking about? Cut to the chase here. Okay, so we've all got baggage. Let's just put that there, okay? We've all got baggage, conditioning. You're going to be hard-pressed to meet a whole lot of folks out there that didn't come from some kind of dysfunction. Somewhere, the parent or aunt or an uncle or some other person that was a strong influence in the early life, or somewhere along the way, some shit probably went down. And, that goes into the whole thing. We are each like our own kind of project in the making. Always. We're just a project that we're always working on. And along the way, some ideas and some just events, blah, 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 get in the mix. And, we end up with baggage. Some of the baggage is not as heavy as other baggage, or let's just, instead of saying baggage, let's say conditioning. Okay. Sometimes we're with people who, even if they're well-meaning, some of their ideals, some of their ideas and philosophies about life don't really serve us as individuals as we're coming up. And somehow, somewhere in there, their whatever gets in the mix of our whatever. And now we're carrying that. It affects us. The things that we were told were right and wrong, good and bad, and they weren't really ours to begin with, but then somehow got in the mix. And so what are we trying to say in this long-winded way? That although we all have strengths, we also have weaknesses, and it's good. It's good to go back and look through the luggage that we're carrying, the luggage of stuff, the good, the bad, the ugly, the great, the wonderful, the horrific, whatever is in there. It's good to go through our inventory and say, oh, okay, and it doesn't make me a piece of shit just because I've got conditioning. You know what it makes me? It makes me a human being. We're all conditioned in some way or another. And sometimes it really gets in our way. And we may, well, what this really has to do with the whole subject that we began with is sometimes because this conditioning, it's not something that's like right front and center that we can see very obviously, oh, I do this because of when back in 1972 when blah, 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 blah. No, we don't know that. Sometimes we do things and we don't even realize, why do I have that knee-jerk reaction when these type of situations, or when somebody this or that, all of a sudden I just like whammo have a certain reaction. We don't know. And sometimes we never even ask. People have been born, lived life, and died, and never asked that question. Why do I do the things I do? Why do I react this way? But it's really, again, this is the opinion of the speaker. It's, in my opinion and in my experience, it's good to ask the question because knowledge is power, right? We said that in the other one. And it's, again, it's not to say, okay, I get in my own way because I'm a piece of shit, because I'm stupid, because I blah, 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 blah. That's useless. That's ridiculous. We never want to go to judgment. We want to go to, okay, let's look at what is. What's the situation? I notice that when this or that or the other thing comes up, it always ends up leading to something that's unpleasant. And I know that I'm the common denominator. Or it always, certain types of, in my speech or in my gesture, in my body language, and something in my presence, I'm noticing that again and again and again, these certain type of things play out. And and now we're way past saying it's because everybody else around me are assholes. We're beyond that. Because again, it's like, okay, I'm ready to look in the baggage I'm carrying and figure this out, because I see that I'm the one who's been there for all of these things. And so there's something. And I would like to at least be cognizant of what it is I'm doing and get some kind of understanding. Who wants to walk around blindfolded to themselves? All right. Many people maybe want to, I don't know. But if you're the kind of person who's like, yeah, I kind of don't want to do that anymore, or I think maybe I do that sometimes and I just kind of been going around in this circle, same type of situations, but different faces on the people, but it's still playing out the same. Well, fear not, because, truth be told, most, if not all of us, would be able to raise our hands high and say, yeah, I noticed that in these certain situations that this happened. So it's not about judgment. It's not about shame. It's not about belittling ourselves or feeling that certain challenges or certain things are always just going to be the way they are, because that's the whole point in discovering, right? Like Krishnamurti would say often, just seeing what is, that's most of the solution, if you will, right there. Just seeing it. When we don't know what's happening, we're just going blindly through it, still running into walls, ramming and falling into holes in the ground. But once you turn the light on, you're like, oh, well, goddamn, that's what's going on. So it's really a good thing. We've done a few recordings over the years, kind of touching on this. But so let's bring it back home if we can. That's going to take another 5 minutes. Anyway, so we can see how, when we're talking about success, and not necessarily success in any particular venture or any particular endeavor with kind of an end goal, but even just being successful in feeling good every day in life. If we want to be successful, feel good, it's good for us to see the whole picture the best that we can. It's really hard to be completely objective about ourselves, but we want to maybe try. If you want to try. If you don't want to try, you're not even listening to this anymore. But it's a good thing. It's really good for us. And there's a lot of, it's unfortunate that there's just a lot of kind of this negative connotation, that this negative spin that people have put on, that we have things that are not, that could use some work. People, it's like drawing outside the lines. We're doing that to ourselves when we judge ourselves. Like, why? Why judge it? Judging is useless, people. We've talked about that a lot. It's not about that. It's about, okay, now I see what's going on. Hop back up on that pony and get to riding. But now with a clearer idea of where we're coming from. That's a good thing. So if we see that, certain types of behavior, or maybe in our speech, certain things are playing out constantly, and it's starting to bother us. Like, am I really that effed up? What's going on? Or maybe we start thinking, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just get it together? Whatever it is, instead of just writing it off like, well, that's the way I am, I'm screwed. No, like, hey, we're a work in progress. We're all a work in progress. And it's an adventure. It doesn't always feel that way because we've been told, well, if you're not like 100% here, then that means you suck. No, it just means, okay, let's roll our sleeves up and figure it out. So just quickly, an example might be, for the speaker, sometimes I can tend to interrupt when someone's talking. And I know in my own mind that it's because my attention span if you're talking and talking and talking, it takes me a lot longer to process what you're saying and then trying to keep up with what you're saying. And then let's say you're stringing this long sentence together, but what you've said so far has made me think of something. And I know that if I let you keep talking, by the time you get to the end of it, I'm running behind trying to listen and keep up. Basically my brain is kind of not I don't have the greatest brain, okay? So it's hard for me to remember, okay, when that person gets to the end of this novel that they're telling me right now, then I will interject my thought about the first thing they said. And so in my mind is very clear. I interrupt because if I don't, I'm going to forget. Well, be that as it may, it's not cool. People don't like it. People have called me out on it, and I'm really, really working. And I think I'm doing much better. I mean, we'd have to ask them, but I'm really making a concerted effort now to just like, okay, you know what? It's not that important. This is not life or death. And if I happen to forget the thing, it's more important to be listening to what they're saying and and because otherwise, why do we talk to people if they're not listening? So it's just kind of a weird acrobatics that we might have to learn new behavior because it or I have to learn new behavior because it really encourages a more, a better, interchange between people. And so if we get too much of it in our own head, we might not even notice that other people are through their body language or their reactions we're basically turning them off and we're putting up a wall because if I'm talking to you and you're not listening to me or you're interrupting me, basically kind of the same things, that's saying what I'm saying is not important. At least that's how it's received. That's not what I want it to mean, but we have to because we're social creatures and we can't just go into, or I can't just go into a situation and say, I'm going to communicate the style that I want to communicate and screw it. If you don't understand the way my mind works, well, whatever. Well, then don't interact with other people because the whole point is that it's going to be an interchange and it's give and take. It's not just the spotlight's on me and it's all about the way my mind is working and how I am processing. When you're dealing with other people, we really have to be aware that, how we are exchanging with them, it might not be working. And that's been my experience. So that's just one way. And there are other, like we said earlier, there are other things that, I've got a list. I got a long list of things that I'm realizing a lot of the conditioning and stuff of, like we said, oh, this is right, this is wrong, this is up, this is down. And it's like, wait a minute, that's just kind of baggage that I've been drawing on this, but it hasn't really served or been necessary. It's just been extra crap that didn't need to be in the mix. So anyway, hopefully, I was a bit excited, but yeah, it's something that I wanted to do right now because when these come to me, when it's like, yeah, I think it might be helpful or beneficial to anyone else out there that's experiencing this. Or if you know someone, instead of just writing them off as, an arrogant asshole because they never listen to what you're saying, and just, we step back. We all step back and say, okay, try to be more aware of there's not just me in the room when we're dealing with other people. And there's other things as well. But hopefully this has been helpful or beneficial or at least informative in some way to someone out there. And as always, we want to wish you so much love. Bye.